center. However, he's absolutely against privatization. So when we speak with him, we're going to have to emphasize that issue and many, many others, but we don't want it built at all. Okay, again, if you have a need, and you have a need and right to know of all the meetings that concern the detention center, we're going to continue to keep you informed.
Are we still represented by Kinzinger?
Yes, you are. Yep.
Until
January of next year.
January of next year will either be, well, one of the two Democrats, or I don't even know who the,
Jesse Jackson Jr. will become our new president.
I don't know what. Anyway, we're gonna go on. We're gonna have a question and answer session in a little while.
There will be a question and answer time at the end. Is it, you want? Because we were going to have everybody come up to the microphone and ask their questions. If you could write them down, maybe jot them down. And then, because yeah, we're going to keep it, and then you can come and ask the questions.
point of information, that microphone blares so much I cannot hear half the words of the two speakers.
Oh.
If you hold it a little bit away like you're holding it,
Down here.
it doesn't overload, you can hear it, everybody can hear better.
You can hear it, but we hold it down here, it's better? So rest your hand on here. Thank you. Mr. Calloway, right? You've been playing phone tag. Anyway, the next speaker is Ralph Martin and Jill Hornick. They're going to talk about the effects on Crete, how it will affect the Crete image and the property value and the legality and the liability of Crete. Correct?
Thank you. My name's Ralph Martin. I live in Crete Township. And the first thing I was going to talk about was the property values, which probably is a lot of people's concern. And what I'm going to say is going to be somewhat obvious, I think. When you think of a town, if you mention certain towns, there are certain associations that you automatically make to them. If I say Brookfield, you probably think of the zoo. If I say Gurney Mills, or if I say Gurney, you probably think of Gurney Mills. Especially with what's going on here today, if I say Joliet, you probably think of the jail. Or if I say Pontiac, Illinois, you probably think of the prison. I don't think anyone here is probably going to put in a real estate flyer when it comes time to sell that we live by a prison. You know, it's going to be pretty hard for it. Although the village says, the trustees told us, I was one of the people that did get into the meeting a few weeks ago. They did say that, oh, it'll have no effect on us. It'll help the tax base. Hey, I'm on your side. Okay. I'm not. But the big thing that I think that we need to get across to the board members is that this will have an effect on property values. If we live here, I like Crete. I moved to Crete because I like Crete. I like to stay in Crete. But if I don't want to live next to the detention center, I'm sure anyone that's looking to buy my house doesn't want to live next to the detention center. And as obvious as that is, property values have a lot to do with the tax base. And this will affect the tax base, although they say the main reason they're doing, the number they quoted was that it's going to be $150,000 in income to the village, which seems like a pittance compared to what could happen as our property values drop.
Yeah.
The other thing is also related to the finances of this, and it's also the liability. There's been some flyers that are out there about how this is a moral issue, and I would agree that it definitely is a moral issue if you're locking up people that haven't had due process. If you go on the ACLU website, you will see article after article after article about how the ACLU is suing CCA. And if you look at all these suits, co-defendant with CCA is always the municipality. Which means, now the ones that I looked at and saw what the outcome was usually that they got CCA to amend the way they do business. But you still have to defend yourself. Anyone that's ever been sued or worked for an employer that's been sued, there's a cost to winning a suit, let alone losing a suit. So there's definitely a cost involved in this. income that the village says that they're going to get, I think, is very minuscule compared to the liabilities that are sitting out there for the village. And the only thing that you can do at this point is convince the mayor and the people on the board that this is a bad idea. Right now, they're elected. And there's been a saying that goes around that elections have consequences. And because these people are in power, they have the sole ability to do this if they feel like it. There's going to be no referendum. They can do it before there's another election. And the only thing you can do is to make your voice heard and tell these people that you think it's a bad idea. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Going back to the property value and real estate,
If we could hold off on the questions so that we can get through the presentation, otherwise it's going to make it a little confusing.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't get your question answered in the general session, he's not going anywhere, Ralph's not going anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. We'll stay here until we get kicked out. So please, you will get an opportunity to ask your questions. Ralph mentioned property values and houses, and do you want to buy a house next to a prison? Well, it's not just our existing houses. It's future housing development. Will developers of homes want to bring new construction into the village of Crete if Crete has this facility here? So it could impact new construction of new homes. Some other economic issues will be, is it going to impact the types of businesses that want to locate in Crete? Now remember, 750 beds, 750 people, that's a lot of people, and they'll be coming and going, released, deported, new ones coming in. So you're going to have these transport vehicles bringing new people in and taking the existing detainees out. So those vans have to go somewhere. So are they going to be up and down Main Street? And do the businesses on Main Street, would a business want to relocate to Main Street if these transport vans are going up and down Main Street? What kind of businesses would want to locate to the south side of Crete if this detention center with these lights, floodlights that are on 24/7, barbed wire, whatever? I mean, what kind of businesses are going to want to locate in Crete? And that's something the mayor and the village isn't talking about the image of Crete and if this meshes with the image of the village of Crete. And you guys have a right to determine how you want your community viewed. So your voice is very, very important, whether you want your bedroom community or you want a prison. And that's basically what a detention center boils down to. Before the village submitted their proposal to the ICE, did they really do any research about how having a 750-bed detention center will impact the village? Probably not, because there's very little federal government data out there on how a detention center impacts a town. So this is pretty much uncharted territory for Crete, and there's also a community in Florida that is going through a similar situation to what's going on here in Crete. So we're kind of the guinea pigs, and with our families and our livelihoods and our property values at stake, is this worth the gamble, especially for a small amount of money? What happens to the site if ICE no longer wants to renew the contract? We don't know. Will Crete allow CCA to bring in